Hello friends, welcome to Prashant IAS. So friends, in the last class, we have discussed about the withdrawal of national emergency. And in this class, we will continue our discussion further. So friends, in this class, we will discuss about the consequences of national emergency. So friends, the consequences of national emergency means the outcomes of national emergency, or we can also say that the effect of national emergency on the country. Okay, so consequences of national emergency basically means the effects of national emergency on the country. So now in this class we will discuss about the consequences of national emergency which our country has to face if the national emergency is imposed. So friends, let's begin. So friends, first of all, let us discuss about the legislative effects or legislative consequences of the national emergency. Okay. So friends, suppose that if the national emergency is imposed in the country. Okay. So what happened? That President of India proclaimed national emergency in the country. Okay. So now what will be the legislative effects of the national emergency, or what will be the legislative effects in the country if the national emergency is imposed in the country? So friends, basically I told you in the previous classes that India is a federal country. Okay. Now what does it mean when I say that India is a federal country? So India is a federal country, it means that there are two levels of government in India. Okay. Union government and state governments. So India is a federal country means there are two levels of government in India, union government and state government. Now friends, union government and state governments are coordinate bodies. Okay, it means that neither union government is subordinate to state government nor state government is subordinate to union government. Okay, means neither union government is inferior to state government nor state governments are inferior to union government. Union government and state governments are coordinate bodies. Coordinate bodies means they are like brothers. They have equal powers. Okay. And there is a clear cut division of power between union and states. Okay. So there is a clear cut division of power between union and states. Okay. Now friends, Schedule 7 clearly divides the power between union government and state government. Okay. Schedule 7 clearly divides the power between union and states. So friends, there are basically three lists in the Schedule 7. So the first list is union list, second list is state list, and the third list is called as concurrent list. So basically what happens that there are many subjects given in each list. Okay. So now what is the meaning of union list? So union list basically means that parliament is authorized to make law on all the subjects given in union list. Okay. So what happens that parliament has the power to make law on all the subjects given in union list. Similarly friends, what happens for state list, that all the state legislature. Okay. So state legislature is basically authorized to make law for the subjects given in state list. Okay. So state legislature has the power to make law for the subjects given under state list. Okay. Now what is there in concurrent list? So basically what happens friends, that both means okay, so there are many subjects given in concurrent list also. Okay. So if any subject is given under concurrent list, then parliament can also make law for that subject and state legislature can also make law for that subject. Okay. So concurrent list means it is a common list. It is list for both. Parliament can also make law for concurrent list and state legislatures can also make law for the subjects given under concurrent list. Okay. Now friends, this happens in normal circumstances. Okay. So this happens when there is no emergency. This happens in normal circumstances. So now we have to see that what happens during emergency. Okay. So now we have to see that what happens when the national emergency is imposed in the country. So friends, let's suppose that if the national emergency, okay, so let's suppose that if the national emergency is imposed in the country, then what effect will this national emergency have on the distribution of power given under Schedule 7? Okay, so what effect this national emergency will cast on the distribution of power, distribution of legislative powers given under Schedule 7 of the Indian Constitution. So friends, when the national emergency is imposed, so basically the state list or the list 2 is affected by the national emergency. Okay, so basically what happens that if the national emergency is imposed, so it mainly affects the state list. So I told you that under normal circumstances, what happens that state legislature, okay, state legislature means state legislative assembly, and some states we are also having state legislative council, okay, but most of the states we are only having state legislative assembly. Okay, so what happens that only state legislature is authorized, only state legislature has the power to make law for the subjects given under state list, and this happens in normal circumstances. But if the national emergency is imposed in the country, then what happens that now parliament also gets the power to make law on the subjects of list 2. Okay, so what will happen in national emergency? So if national emergency is imposed, then definitely parliament will continue to make law on union list. Okay, now for concurrent list there is no problem. Why? Because here parliament can also make law and state legislature can also make law, but for state list, state legislature only has the power, only state legislature has the power to make law. So if the national emergency is imposed in the country, so what happens that parliament also gets the power to make law for all the subjects of list 2 or state list. Okay, so what is the legislative effect of national emergency? So now you can tell that, sir, if the national emergency is imposed in the country, then parliament also gets the power to make law for all the subjects of list 2. Okay, but friends, now a question arises that will state legislature also continue to make law on the subjects of state list or not? Means whether the power of state legislature to make law on the subjects of state list will continue to be in their hand or it will be snatched from state legislatures. So definitely friends, I told you that national emergency is imposed either on the ground of war or on the ground of external aggression or on the ground of armed rebellion. Okay, now definitely if any other country is attacking India, then we know that there is no fault of states in this case. So if states are not faulty, so why we have to give punishment to state legislatures? Okay, so what happens that if there is national emergency, then state legislatures can also make law on the subjects of state list. Okay, so what happens that if there is a national emergency, then state legislatures can also make law on the subjects of state list, but parliament also gets the power to make law on the subjects of state list. Okay, so now what is the change? So basically the change in national emergency is that now on the subjects of state list, parliament will also make law and state legislatures will also make law. Okay, now friends, after this let us discuss about the second legislative consequence or the second legislative effect in the case of national emergency. Okay, so now I told you that national emergency can be imposed on 3 grounds, either on the ground of war or external aggression or armed rebellion. Okay, so now let's suppose that the national emergency is imposed on the ground of war. Okay, so now friends, it is a common sense that if India is fighting a war with any other country, okay, listen to my words carefully what I am saying, that if India is fighting a war with any other country, then definitely our government is busy in war. Okay, our government is busy in winning the war over that country. Citizens will also contribute something. Army is also busy in fighting the war. Okay, means the entire country at that time will be busy in fighting the war with that country, and our main purpose, our main motive at that time must be to win the war over the country. Okay, now let's suppose what happened that the war is going on. Okay, so the war is going on, the war is in war is continue. Okay, Now what happens in this situation, that the 5 years of Lok Sabha are completed. 5 years of Lok Sabha are completed. So friends, in the last classes I told you that what happens normally, that the term of Lok Sabha is 5 years. Now what does it mean? It means that after the 5 years of the completion of term, means after the 5 years the President of India dissolves the Lok Sabha. Okay, so I told you in the previous classes that the term of Lok Sabha is 5 years, means after the 5 years of the formation of Lok Sabha, President of India dissolves the Lok Sabha. Okay, but friends, okay, and when Lok Sabha is dissolved, then what happens, that the fresh elections, okay, what happens, that the fresh elections are conducted for electing the new Lok Sabha. But friends, here if India is fighting a war with any other country, so entire government machinery is busy in winning the war. Entire government machinery is busy in fighting the war with any other country. Okay, so if at this time elections are held, okay, so just imagine a situation that during the war, if elections are held, then what will happen? Then definitely our country will become weak. Why? Because the government in power will also have the fear to lose the election, and definitely a good amount of government machinery has to be employed for conducting the elections. Okay, so in this condition, the position of India can become weak, and definitely we cannot lose the war at any cost. We have to win the war at any cost. So what is the provision in the Constitution of India, that if there is a national emergency in the country, okay, so if there is an ongoing national emergency in the country, okay, so generally the term of Lok Sabha and the term of all the legislative assemblies, okay, the term of Lok Sabha and the term of all the legislative assemblies of the state is also 5 years. So what happens, that the term of Lok Sabha and term of all the legislative assemblies of state is 5 years. But in the case of national emergency, the term of Lok Sabha and the term of all the legislative assemblies of the states can be increased for 1 more year. Okay, so this is the provision in the Constitution, that if there is an ongoing national emergency in the country, then the term of Lok Sabha and the term of all the legislative assemblies can be increased for 1 more year. Okay, and okay, so now you can ask one question from me, that sir, what will happen if the war is still not ended even after the expiry of this 1 year period? Okay, so this 1 year period is also expired and still the war is going on, and definitely if the war is going on, then it is impossible to conduct the elections in the situation of war. Okay, so what happens that this 1 year period, okay, this 1 year period can be extended n number of times. N number of time means it can be extended many times. Okay, for example, there is national emergency in the country, okay, and the 5 years of Lok Sabha are completed. Okay, so what will happen, that the term of Lok Sabha will be increased for 1 year. Okay, so now let's suppose this 1 year is also expired, means the Lok Sabha has completed 6 years, but still the national emergency is going on in the country. Okay, so then again the term of Lok Sabha can be increased for 1 more year. Okay, so this 1 year period can be extended for any number of times. So if there is a national emergency, so the 1 year period can be extended for any number of times till the time national emergency is not ended. Now friends, let's suppose that national emergency is ongoing in the country, is going on in the country. Okay, now what happened, that the 5 years term of Lok Sabha is expired. So I told you, so what will happen, so the term of Lok Sabha will be increased by 1 more year. Okay, now what happened, that when the term of Lok Sabha was increased by 1 more year, so what happened, that only 3 months passed. Okay, what happened, that after the increment of term of Lok Sabha by 1 year, only 3 months were passed and the national emergency was ended. The national emergency was withdrawn. Okay, so emergency conditions ended in the country and the national emergency was over. So friends, now if the national emergency is withdrawn, if now the national emergency is over, so now the fresh elections, okay, so now the fresh elections for new Lok Sabha must be conducted within 6 months from the date of the withdrawal of national emergency. Okay, so this is again a provision in the constitution that if the national emergency is withdrawn, if the national emergency is over, then the fresh elections must be conducted for new Lok Sabha within 6 months. The fresh elections must be conducted for Lok Sabha within 6 months from the date of the withdrawal of national emergency. So friends, now let us discuss about the administrative effects or executive effects. So administrative effects basically means the executive effects or executive consequences of national emergency. So friends, in the beginning of this lecture, I told you that India is a federal country. And I also told you the meaning of this statement that India is a federal country or India is a federation. So it means that the union government, or we can also call it as central government, and the state governments are coordinate bodies. Means neither union government is inferior to state governments nor state government is inferior to union government. They both are equal. They both are like brothers. They both are coordinate bodies. Okay, so they have their separate powers. They have their separately defined powers. Okay, for example, the legislature of union government is parliament. So parliament has the power to make law under the subjects given under union list. Similarly, I also told you that the legislature of states is called as state legislature, or we can also call it as state legislative assembly. So state legislature has the power to make law on the subjects given in state list or list 2. Okay, means there is a clear cut division of power between union and states. Okay, so similarly what happens friends, that I told you that basically there are 3 organs of the government: legislature, executive and judiciary. Okay, now what is the work of legislature? The work of legislature is to make laws, and we have already discussed about legislative effects. Now work of the executive is to execute these laws. Okay, now what is the work of executive? The work of executive is to execute these laws which are made by legislature and to maintain law and order. Okay, and to carry out the administration of the country. So this is the work of executive. Now what is the work of judiciary? So basically the work of judiciary is the maintenance of judicial system in the country. It is the work of judiciary is to maintain justice in the country. Okay, means if anybody is violating the laws, then judiciary will give punishment to that person or to that body. Okay, so now we are discussing about here executive effects or administrative effects. So generally what happens friends, that union executive means Union Council of Ministers. Okay, so as we have a Council of Ministers as union level, similarly we also have a Council of Ministers at state level. Okay, so the Council of Ministers at union level is called as Union Executive, and the Council of Ministers at state level is called as State Executive. Okay, so generally what happens, that Union Executive and State Executive are independent bodies. Okay, means State Executive is not under the control of Union Executive. Okay, so we can say that Union Executive and State Executive are totally independent bodies with each other. Okay, means neither Union Executive is under the control of State Executive nor State Executive is under the control of Union Executive. Okay, so what I am saying here, that in normal conditions, in normal circumstances, what happens, that Union Executive and State Executive, they are totally independent bodies. Independent bodies means that they are independent of each other. Okay, so here I am talking in the context they are independent of each other. Means State Executive is not under Union Executive, or we can also say that Union Executive is not the boss of State Executive. But friends, let's suppose if the national emergency is imposed in the country. So if the national emergency is imposed in the country, then what happens, that this Union Executive gets the power to give administrative directions or administrative orders. Okay, this union executive gets the power to give administrative direction or administrative orders to state executive, and these administrative directions and administrative orders are definitely about that how to carry out the administration in the state. Okay, so what happens in the case of emergency, that this union executive actually becomes the boss of state executive. Okay, why? Because now union executive gets the power to give order, to give direction to state executive on how to carry out the administration in the state, how to maintain law and order in the state, how to execute all the laws in the state. Okay, and this state executive will come under the control of union executive. So this is what happens during national emergency. So friends, after this, let us discuss about the financial consequences or the financial effects of national emergency. Okay, so here again I will say the same thing, that I told you that India is a federal country or India is a federation. So if India is a federal country, then it means that there is a clear-cut division of power between union and states in normal time. Okay, so as there is a clear-cut division of power between union government and state government in the normal time, so friends, similarly there is a clear-cut division of financial powers of union government and state governments also. Okay, means there is a clear-cut division of the finances of union and finances of state. Okay, for example, it is clearly written that what are the sources of revenue, what are the sources of revenue for union and what are the sources of revenue for states. Okay, similarly union government has to give a good amount of money as grants to states so that states can also run their administration. Okay, so what happens, that there is a clear-cut distribution of financial powers or financial relations of union and states. Okay, for example, there are separate sources of revenue for union, there are separate sources of revenue for states. Okay, and I also told you that union also gives a good amount of money to all the states as grants. Okay, so friends, this happens in normal circumstances. Okay, but let's suppose if the national emergency is imposed in the country. So if the national emergency is imposed in the country, okay, and I told you that national emergency can be imposed on the ground of war, external aggression or armed rebellion. Okay, now for fighting the war or for dealing with external aggression or armed rebellion, it is a very common thing that central government needs a lot of money to deal with all these situations. Definitely central government will need a lot of money for fighting the war with any other country, or if any other country has attacked India, then our country will also have to give reply to that country. So in that scenario also, our country means the central government will also need a lot of money. Similarly, if there is any armed rebellion also, then also for suppressing and for controlling that armed rebellion, central government will need a lot of money. So what happens, that if there is any national emergency in the country, then what happens, that the distribution of financial powers, this distribution of financial powers between central and state governments may cease to be in operation. Okay, so what happens, that if national emergency is imposed in the country, then it is a possibility that the distribution of financial power may cease to be in operation. Now, what is the meaning of this statement, that the distribution of financial power between union and states may cease to be in operation? So it basically means that what will happen, that till the time national emergency is in operation, till the time the national emergency is going on, what can happen, that the distribution of financial power between center and state will not work. Okay, so the distribution of power between center and state will not work, and the union government will get all the financial powers. The union government will get control of all the financial powers. Okay, so if there is a need for this type of thing, then union government can take the control of entire financial power of the country in its own hand. Okay, so there is a possibility that if the need will arise, then what will happen, that union government will take all the financial powers in its own hand, and and it will snatch all the financial powers from states. Now friends, after this, let's see that what is the effect of national emergency on the fundamental rights. Okay, so friends, first of all, we will discuss about Article 358 of the Indian Constitution. So what is given in Article 358 of the Indian Constitution? So friends, if the national emergency is declared on the ground of war or external aggression. Okay, so what I am saying, that if national emergency is declared on the ground of war or external aggression, then under Article 358 of the Indian Constitution, the rights, the fundamental rights given under Article 19 of the Indian Constitution are suspended automatically. Okay, so they are suspended automatically. Now what does it mean? So it basically means that if the national emergency is declared either on the ground of war or on the ground of external aggression, okay, then what happens, that the fundamental rights given under Article 19, okay, so there are many fundamental rights which are given to us under Article 19. For example, Article 19 clause 1 subclause A is right to the freedom of speech and expression. Okay, and there are actually basically many freedoms which are guaranteed to us under Article 19 of the Indian Constitution. So what happens, that if the national emergency is declared on the ground of war or external aggression, then the fundamental rights which are guaranteed to us under Article 19 of the Indian Constitution, they are automatically suspended. Automatically suspended means there is no need to put extra efforts. There is no need that President should proclaim that now these rights are suspended. Okay, so there is no need that President of India should proclaim that now from now these rights are suspended. So they are suspended automatically. They are suspended automatically. Okay. So friends, after this, let us discuss about Article 359 of the Indian Constitution. So what is given in Article 359 of Indian Constitution? So Article 359 says that if the national emergency is proclaimed either on the ground of war or on the ground of external aggression or on the ground of armed rebellion. Okay, so it basically means that if the national emergency is declared on any ground, because these are the three grounds on which the national emergency can be proclaimed. Okay, so what Article 359 says, that if the national emergency is declared on the ground of war or external aggression or armed rebellion, then what happens? Then the President of India by a separate proclamation, can suspend the enforcement. Okay, so President can suspend the enforcement of any fundamental right. Okay, so what is given under Article 359? So Article 359 says that if the national emergency is declared on any ground, means whether it is declared on internal ground or it is declared on external ground, means whether it is declared on war, external aggression or armed rebellion, in all these situations, President of India has the power to separately proclaim that now these fundamental rights are suspended. Okay, so now it means that the President of India has the power to suspend the enforcement of any fundamental right. Okay, to suspend the enforcement of any fundamental right by a separate proclamation. But friends, here you have to keep in your mind that President of India cannot suspend the enforcement of fundamental rights given under Article 20 and 21 of the Indian Constitution. Okay, so what you have to keep in mind, that President of India cannot suspend the enforcement of fundamental rights given under Article 20 and 21 of the Indian Constitution. Means the enforcement of fundamental rights given under Article 20 and 21 cannot be suspended. So friends, I am repeating this entire statement for all of you. So under Article 359 of the Indian Constitution, if national emergency is internal or external, then President of India through a separate proclamation can suspend the enforcement of one or more than one fundamental rights except the fundamental rights given under Article 20 and 21 of the Indian Constitution. Okay, so what does it mean? So it only means that whether the national emergency is external or it is internal, means whether it is and the national emergency is proclaimed on the ground of war, external aggression or armed rebellion. In all these situations, President of India has the power to suspend the enforcement of any fundamental right by making a separate proclamation. But President of India cannot suspend the enforcement of fundamental rights given under Article 20 and Article 21 of the Indian Constitution. So friends, in the classes of fundamental rights, I taught you about fundamental rights in a very detailed manner, and I taught you it in a very detailed manner. So now you all have to comment that which fundamental rights are given under Article 20 and 21 of the Indian Constitution. So pause the video and comment that what are the fundamental rights given under Article 20 and Article 21 of the Indian Constitution. So friends, Article 359 basically provides discretionary power to the Union Executive. Okay, so it basically provides the discretionary power to the Union Executive to suspend or not suspend one or more fundamental rights. For example, we can say that let's suppose if the national emergency is let's suppose if the national emergency is imposed on the ground of war. Okay, now in this situation we know that under Article 358 of the Indian Constitution, Article 19 will automatically be suspended. For Article 19, Union Executive does not have any discretionary power. Okay, but what happens that under Article 359, a discretionary power is provided to the Union Executive that they can cause the suspension of one or more fundamental rights through the President of India. For example, under Article 359, now President of India can suspend the enforcement of fundamental right given under Article 15. Similarly, President of India can suspend the enforcement of fundamental right given under Article 16. Okay, so let's suppose President of India, let's suppose what happened that Union Executive decided that the suspension of fundamental rights. Okay, Union Executive decided that the fundamental rights given under Article 15, 16, and let's suppose 24 and 25 should be suspended. Okay, so now Union Executive will give advice to the President of India, means Union Council of Ministers will give advice to the President of India to suspend the enforcement of fundamental rights given under Article 15, Article 16, Article 24 and Article 25. Okay, so in this case what will happen that you can see Article 19 is automatically suspended. Okay, and Union Executive through President of India has suspended the enforcement of fundamental rights given under Article 15, 16, 24 and 25. Okay, so now these all fundamental rights are suspended, but now also all other remaining fundamental rights are with us. Okay, so in this condition also these 5 fundamental rights are suspended, but all other fundamental rights are with us. Okay, so this is just an example. Okay, so it is up to the wish of Union Executive that they can suspend any fundamental right through the President of India, but the condition is that they cannot suspend the enforcement of fundamental rights given under Article 20 and 21 of the Indian Constitution. So Union Executive has the power to suspend the enforcement of any fundamental right through the President of India, but they cannot suspend the enforcement of fundamental right under Article 20 and Article 21 of the Indian Constitution. Now friends, after this, what is the meaning of the suspension of fundamental rights? So suspension of fundamental rights does not mean that these fundamental rights are not with you. Okay, so the suspension of fundamental rights means still these rights are with you. Okay, still these rights are with person, but for some time, for some duration, these fundamental rights cannot be enforced. Okay, for some time, for some duration, these fundamental rights cannot be enforced. For example, friends, let's suppose if the national emergency is imposed on the ground of war. Okay, and what happened, that union executive gave advice to President of India to suspend the enforcement of fundamental right under article 16 of the Indian Constitution. Okay, so if the article 16 of the Indian Constitution is suspended, so it does not mean that now article 16 is not available. It does not mean that now article 16 is no more. It does not mean that now article 16 is not with you. So basically it means that still, even after suspension, article 16 of the Indian Constitution is with you, but it cannot be enforced for some period of time. Okay, and and by common sense we can know that why it cannot be enforced for some period of time. Definitely, as there is a national emergency in the country, as country is busy, country is engaged in fighting a war with any other country. Okay, means all the resources of our country, all the power of our country is just engaged in winning the war. So it means that at this moment all the resources are not available to serve the citizens. Okay, all the resources are not available to serve the people of the country. So it means that for some period of time, means until the time the national emergency is going on, for only some period of time, these fundamental rights cannot be enforced. Okay, so the suspension of fundamental rights does not means that, okay, so the suspension of fundamental right does not mean that now these fundamental rights are not with you. Basically, the suspension of fundamental right means that fundamental rights are still with you, but it cannot be enforced for some period of time. Okay, so when the national emergency will be over, or when government will feel that now we should restore this fundamental right, so again this fundamental right will be enforced. So suspension of fundamental right means that still this fundamental right is with you, but it cannot be enforced. Government cannot guarantee this fundamental right for some period of time due to lack of resources. So friends, with this the topic of national emergency is now completed. So friends, that's all for today. I hope that you all must have enjoyed the lecture, and if you have enjoyed the lecture, then please like the video, comment, subscribe the channel, press the bell icon and select all. So friends, now we will meet in next class. Till then, stay healthy, stay indoors, take care of yourself. Thank you.